What's that?
Oh. Okay, it is 6 and we'll call the meeting to order and we'll rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do we have anybody on the call, Ryan?
We have Commissioner Moore.
I can't see.
Can you guys hear me?
Oh, I
I
just,
can hear you, but you're a ghost.
Yeah, my video wasn't working good. My connection here at my house sucks. So sorry.
we're working on it, Josh.
It's the
I
sun,
know.
it's the sun that's bothered me. I'm looking into, I can see a big splotch of sun.
All right.
Okay, so we're here for the, what do they call this thing? Board of Equalization. So we need, are you, Lori, do you give the oath? Or it's you, okay. We have to stand for the oath?
Yeah, let's stand and we've got to raise our right hands.
Okay.
And Josh, you're standing, right?
Yep.
We're gonna raise our right hands. And if you repeat after me, if you insert your name at the beginning,
I, Steve Holland,
Very well.
Josh Moore.
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
Solemnly swear
faithfully
who will faithfully
and impartially
and impartially
all the duties
all the duties
enjoined
duties.
on us
and something on us
by the law
by the law
as members
As
of
members
As members.
Equalization
as Pine County Board of Equalization
for the assessment year 2021.
for the assessment year 2021.
21.
Perfect. We'll have you sign at the end.
Okay. Wasn't quite as scary as my wedding.
Okay, so I'm gonna get started. I'm sorry, the screen's a little blurry, so we'll have to just listen along. Tonight, we're here to review at the County Board of Appeal and Equalization, the 2021 assessment, which are your taxes payable in 2022. The purpose of this meeting is to provide a fair and objective forum for property owners to appeal their valuation and/or classification. Duties of the board include to address property owners' issues efficiently, fairly, and objectively. It is assumed that the assessor has properly valued and classified all property. The burden of proof rests with the property owner. We do mass appraisal. Properties are physically reviewed once every 5 years. The exception to this would be an owner's request or new construction on the property. Qualifying sales from October 1st of 19 through September 30th of 2020 determine the 2021 assessed values. We look at sales ratios. We get that by taking the assessor's market value and divide that by the sales price. Sales study groupings are set by the Department of Revenue, and values must fall into a median ratio of 90 to 105%. The 2021 assessment and review, and I'm sorry, I can't see the screen, so I'm not sure if it's switching. So,
There,
I don't see anything.
yeah, I'm not seeing it.
There it is.
there. See the top part.
Okay, you can see the top part. So basically, we had a very active year again. With residential overall, both on and off water, we started at a median ratio of 86.80%. When I got done setting the values, we were sitting at 94.14%. Land is where we saw the biggest increases. If we look at rural vacant land that's greater than 34 and a half acres, we started out at 76.09%. When we got done, we were at 92.82%.
What was the driver there?
What was the driver?
Yeah.
I think everyone with the low interest rates, and I felt people wanted to get out of the cities and come up north. A lot of people I feel are working from home now, and you can easily do that up here. And they want, you know, when we were in the pandemic, people, when you're here in Pine County, you can get out, you can be on the lake, you can be on the trails. And I think that was a big driving force.
So you just gave us rural vacant land, right?
Yes.
What about ag land? Are you getting to that or?
Yeah, well, the egg is thrown into a bucket with the rural vacant land. We did not see the egg. Egg did come up, but not what we saw with the woods and things like that. In fact, what ended up happening is the farther north you got, I ended up having to bring our wood value to equal our egg values. That's how much it sold. And I don't think we've ever seen that before.
Well, it'll start going up with, if corn stays at $7.50.
More land for sale.
So it'll be interesting to see, so far what I've seen so far for this next year, it's still definitely going up. So we definitely saw some big increases.
So Lori, can I ask you a question about, as we're going here?
Yeah,
A piece of property sold not too far from us for like 147 acres sold for 1.3 million. Does that get, because it's an anomaly. Everybody isn't paying that for 1.2, it had Lake Shore and
we are not looking at that sale. That was a reject because of it was purchased for development purposes, not for agricultural purposes. So that will not be thrown into the study.
Okay,
If I'm thinking about the one,
yeah,
and I think I am.
yeah.
So,
So how many of those can you kind of discount?
well,
Is there a number?
I mean, that's up to the Department of Revenue. We have a number of reject codes that we can use. But they're pretty specific. Sometimes if it's just not typical of the market, then we have to go into a little bit more of an explanation. We verify any sale that falls outside of that ratio. And so that means we're either calling the seller, the buyer, the closer to get more information. If we feel that it's not typical of the market, but it doesn't really fall into one of those categories, then I reach out to our Department of Revenue rep to get his opinion, and then we go from there.
Thanks.
Yeah. So, let's see, okay. And that's it. So we're at the appointment portion, and we've got Paul Orsello. You are the only one, Paul. It's nice to meet you. I'm Lori. I'm the one that worked with you in April. Do you want to come up to the podium?
Oh, not really.
Oh, you don't want to? Okay, well,
Does he need to be at the podium so that Josh can hear him?
Probably.
We've got another commissioner.
Can you hear me now?
Need you on a microphone.
Yeah,
We're not gonna bite you.
Come all the way up to the mic because we've got somebody online.
I'm just concerned about the rise all at once in some of the income tax. And then I'm in an area where it's kind of foreclosed upon, and then I'm getting it, 1/5 of what you guys are claiming it's for, doing a few improvements. And the taxes are just, they're doubling in 1 year. You're giving me 50 back and now you want 400 more. You're kind of messing with my head the way she's taxing it.
Did you say new improvements?
Well, yeah, I improved it. I picked up the city dump there a couple miles out. That's whatever, some old property through a friend. So I cleaned it up and fixed it up and did a little improvement. And, my concern is I think I'm being valued more under a house when there's no basement or footings on my buildings.
no, that's true.
Well, see, and here's another issue. I guess I'll get it out of the way, but I did request from, the tax lady for Finlayson County.
Nancy Fisher.
Yeah, how she's arriving at this, and I've stopped at Pine County Courthouse and they've given me the figures. So much this and that, but what I was actually after was, back to this burden of proof. I don't know why it rests on me. I would think it would go both ways, but I'm after like the legal scenario on how you're taxing me. I mean, part of I call it shack because there's no footage. You may call it a house. See, there's a difference there. And all I'm saying, a third of it is barely 5 feet high. See, the ceilings are low. It's an old hunting shack that's been refixed, and then I've added on a part, put up some cold storage, but nothing's got the footings. And I wouldn't be here if it had a basement under it. I wouldn't be arguing the value so much, but then, like.
So it's a slab on grade,
There is no slab on grade.
Is it on post?
it's on dirt?
It's on cement blocks, regular old 16-inch cement blocks that were there, and I brought in a couple. So it's just sitting on.
Built on pillars.
Well, that's another issue, but yeah, what you guys call a pillar, the legal definition, not to get on,
Well, do they go above frost?
no, they're sitting on the clay.
Oh,
See, so I'm, like I said, if it had a basement in the footing, I wouldn't be here. I'd say you're in the ball.
So what's the, I'm not seeing a
We're,
sheet, so I don't know
Right.
what is that.
so we're not valuing you as having a house with a basement. We're valuing you as a cabin.
Yeah, well,
And a cabin has no basement. It has no second floor.
yeah, but usually, I mean, nowadays what they call it's all up to definition because I got friends that pay less and got basically the same thing, maybe a half hour more north or even McGregor area. And then I got people that pay more with less. So it's back to your $1 million sale. Does that make it all worth?
Are you comparing in the area that you live in though? You're
And then I don't want to, I don't want yes and no. See, that's why I'm here.
totally different areas, yeah.
Well, right, and that's what I'm saying. My area was foreclosed upon and a couple of the locals bought the lots up because people couldn't afford the taxes. They let them go back. And then even the one next to me, all I'm gonna say is you guys solicited him or he ended up buying it. Otherwise, I went to the forfeiture sale and nobody bought it. And the value I kind of whoa. And now you're raising my land another $1,000 an acre,
So now we talked for over an hour.
Yeah.
And so I just want to remind you a little bit about what we talked about.
Yeah, well, and I'm just saying, no, you're saying the sales and everything else, and all I'm trying to say is, why are you comparing me to somebody else who sold and bought? That's all.
Well-
I'm not trying to sell or cash out. That's my point. I'm trying to hang on to it.
Right.
And then,
That's how they arrive at a value.
That's the,
and that's what I'm finding out. So I understand your point of view and I'm just trying to show you mine. There ain't a basement. You're saying it's seasonal. Then you're saying I'm being charged 25% more because I'm not living there. Then I'm saying, there is no mound system. I barely got the water last year and I'm being taxed on an unfinished bathroom, but I couldn't flush it anyways, So I'm saying it isn't.
So can we just take a time out here?
Because I need to run through,
How many acres are we talking? How many?
it's a lot. So, yeah. So Paul, hang on. I'm just going to run through what I have prepared here. So again, this is,
Lori, I'm just wondering, because I know Terry is a little bit new, but typically the applicant will make their case, explain why they think the property is valued incorrectly. And then you ask questions of the applicant, and then the assessor, Lori in this case, would then go through her review of the property, explain how she arrived at the value she did. So I think Steve,
Yeah.
that's maybe where you were trying to get to.
Yeah.
okay, sorry.
So
Do I continue or do you go?
you give us your case, why?
Yeah, like I said, it's just sitting on a dirt and cement blocks and the identical stone.
How big is the,
It's 48 long by I think 14.
okay,
And then the barn was I think 22 by 40. But it's just sitting on the ground. There's no cement. See, and the half you see looks nice. I don't know if she took pictures of the back sides and it's all I'd say 55% of it's been recycled, if not 60.
so what's the what's the value of it?
They had it up to 80 and I guess they dropped it down for next year. So I'm gonna swallow a couple $100 hit, which ain't a big deal, but it is if it keeps going like it was. I'm stuck paying is what I'm told, unless you adjust next year's for the year after, if you're following me.
No, I'm not.
Well, I'm just
I just want you to tell me,
4 something to 8 something. I had her come out. I thought she was coming out for this year, which I already paid to have, but she says it's for next year. I noticed next year dropped 200. So you're at my max from what I believe it's actually taxed at, being that it is unfinished and not livable. And I don't even have power hooked up. went low voltage solar because of the cost of everything and the overhead. And like I said, I'm just trying to hang on to it. And all I'm trying to say is, to me, it makes some of it don't make no sense the way you're taxing me. You're saying because you had record sales and everything's moving up and everything else, my social security letter's telling me there's 2.5 for inflation, and I'm seeing, what is it, 100%? You know, 430 to 800 all at once, and then I'm saying, why'd you give me $50-some back the year before to gain 370? And my concern is it isn't done, and the resale, maybe if it was finished, I'd agree with the value, you know, if I had to.
Okay, now we're getting someplace.
Well-
You think the thing is valued $20,000 more than you think it should be, or
Yeah, I think now she's down to 50 something. She was at 80.
what do you think it's worth?
She's close now for next year.
Okay, that's what I wanted to hear.
And that's all I'm saying, though, but am I gonna have to come in here every year? Is it gonna jump $200 a year on me? I mean.
I wish mine only jumped 200 a year.
Huh?
I wish mine only
Well,
jumped.
that's what everybody says, and I got some people that look at it and have been there and says, oh, this is cheap because they're paying 3,000 for a full house, 2-car garage, cement and tar driveways. This is cheap. This is dirt cheap. And I got other people that look at it and say, wow, that's a lot. So I'm kind of, you know.
What is your tax bill?
What was it, 804, I think, for this year, and then it goes down to about 600 next year. But it's 5 acres, you know, and if I didn't put the 2 loads of rock in it, you couldn't even access it. You know what I mean? It was a city dump is what I call it. Just some people lived there and abused it and hauled everything there. Cleaned it up over a 6-year period. And not to get sidetracked, but I also, within a block to a block and a half of me, had noticed, hate to even say it, but some of my neighbor's stuff ain't going up. So how can mine gain land value and his ain't? His taxes have been the same for 6 years, and I'm not throwing any names out because I don't like to get somebody else in trouble.
Was there big changes since the last evaluation?
Well, yeah, I went from, what was it, 430 or something up to 800.
No, but I mean, changes in structure.
I'm not sure, I guess I'm not sure how.
Nancy,
At the barn, but I thought that was the year before, so she gave me a year's grace there. It was just like, whoa, wait a minute. And the barn's half used, you know. Meaning the metal on the backside, some of the lumber, I only bought what I needed to, because I do have a limited income, I guess, so. But, you know, back to the neighbors, it's like, well, geez, this hasn't gone up in 6 years.
okay,
So,
so I'm gonna
Yep.
jump in here,
Sure.
just so you understand.
Okay, I think you're done now, so
okay,
you can sit down. And we'll hear the other side of the story.
Okay, so this is a platted lot that is southeast of Finlayson. It's the address 24617 Wooded Circle, Finlayson. It's a development there. Our 2021 value,
There we go.
$70,600.
I can move these.
I'm good. Thank you.
Next year's value drops down to 58,500. And like Paul told you, it's a seasonal property. So here's a picture of the cabin. You can see the solar paints on top. I also included a copy of the plot screen for you to break it down. Originally, the cabin was built in 1975. They've added on to it in 2009. They've added on to it again in 2017. This cabin has been under construction or unfinished since the remodel and addition in 2017. The local assessor, Nancy Fisher, reviewed the property in January of 19 and felt at that time there was no additional completion of the cabin, but she did add an unfinished garage and carport, she found it said review. On January 11th, 2020, she was not able to access the property, assumed the cabin was complete, and removed the 50% under construction adjustment. She indicates a letter was sent to Mr. Orsello, but he did not respond at that time. On January 13th, 2021, She met with Mr. Orsello at the property. After her review, the cabin was valued at 80% complete versus 100% complete, and the quality was decreased from fair to below average due to the use of used and mismatched materials, and that's why you're seeing the drop in value now. After receiving the 2021 tax statement and the 2022 valuation notice, it's my understanding Mr. Orsello contacted Nancy. And at that time, Nancy indicated she would be turning the review in this parcel over to the county. I personally contacted Mr. Orsello the week of April 12th of 2021. I then sent him a letter dated April 16th, 2021, reiterating to him we are reviewing values for taxes payable in 2022. The time to dispute his 2021 taxes was last year, and if he wanted to appeal his 21 taxes, his only option at that point in time would be to go to tax court. I asked for an appointment so I could review the property with him. No appointment was scheduled. The value for this property was reduced from $70,600 to $58,500 for taxes payable in 2022. I recommend no change because I was not able to review. Did I hit everything?
You got it. When can I address the issues that were wrong to me?
Go ahead.
Number one, I never received no letter from her for an inquiry to
Right, and I can only go,
the property or review it.
right, and so again, Nancy Fisher is not a county employee. She's contracted by the township, and that is just the notes that she had in on it.
Well, he asked, do I need to go there or what? But then number two, you said something about a notice or somebody tried to contact me.
I did.
You did?
I was on the phone with you over an hour,
Yeah, well,
and we talked all about this.
see,
And
you
the-
asked for an appointment. Is that the phone conversation you're?
No. That was, I told you, and I put it in my letter to you too, that if you wanted me, I would personally come out and review the property. There's no guarantee that the value would decrease, but it would actually be.
Well, I recall you saying that. I was told that I should get I could hire a real estate firm appraisal or have Pine County. Are you saying you're Pine County's tax assessor?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep, and you're right. I also told you, I highly recommended you to get a market analysis or an appraisal of your property too.
Yeah.
And you were gonna have surgery or something, and you said you were gonna get back to me.
So the bottom line is, right now, it's valued at 58,000, and that's probably right where it should be.
Yeah, and that's why I said I was
Yeah.
swallowing a couple hundred, because, you know, it's a little, it was 800. She did lower. My concern is that, you know, are you gonna keep having these? I'm pretty well done with it. I'm not gonna put a mount system in there because I don't believe the value is
We don't show
there,
amount. We're not showing that. It's all shown correctly.
you
So
know?
we're not valuing you for a septic system.
Yeah, I know. I wouldn't dare put it in because I don't want to get, I feel you're maybe 10 grand over what it should be at 58. Like I said, the lot being 1,000 an acre, you got the lot that can get about 25,000.
You have,
What next week comes sell and somebody offered it to the neighbor, he didn't have any bills, so he bought it. Okay, and now you're saying,
but you have to remember, Paul, the reason you saw such a big increase in your tax is because she took the new construction off and made the assumption that the cabin was 100% complete.
yes,
So now, again, next year, your taxes should come down.
yeah, and I got that. This is where I feel it should be, and hopefully not too much more because I'm done doing them. So, but then I do have another question since I'm here. I was told, and one of my concerns are, this ain't the first time, but you guys farm out the notice that's sent during Thanksgiving. Who mails these to me? And because the last 3 years it's been mix and match. And last year I didn't make the meeting because I got the notice the day of the meeting. So you're saying you're putting them in the mail 10 days prior, and I'm just trying to say, 1 year, next year was in there, the other year there wasn't one in there. last year, it came the day of the meeting, I could have made it up here if I wanted to. So that's why I'm kind of inquiring, who does this or mails it?
We use a company called NVS, and by statute, they have to, and I'm talking valuation notices, have to be mailed out no later than March 30th of every year.
Well, but then what's the meeting for December?
In November, you get your truth and taxation notice or your proposed tax
That's
statement.
what I'm not getting.
Okay,
That's when you can come and,
Yeah.
that's when we set our budget. So if you don't like our budget,
Yeah,
then you can come and tell us you shouldn't spend that much money on the sheriff's department.
But you can't argue valuations at that one.
at the December meeting?
Right.
And this one, you're not supposed to talk taxes. You're supposed to talk valuation.
Well, is it evaluation or assessment or value? I don't know.
your value.
Assessed value, yeah.
So I'm doing this, you know,
Yeah.
to me, it's all the same thing. I guess I'll be polite and just say, stop spending money. It's a nice building, but you can shut the lights off. When I'm up there driving to town at 10 o'clock, and I don't know if they're on timer. But when I'm low voltage, then this place is lit up at 9:30, 10 o'clock, it's like, okay, I'm just saying, isn't there a way to be a little more efficient? The people are paying the light bill, I'm assuming. So, and then, so it's what I'm back, because he mixed me up a little here, I'll do it, because to me, it's all the same thing, but I'll get, it'll basically be that this December will be 2023 proposed. So when do I challenge that? In December?
The taxes you would.
Yeah, the taxes, that's what we're here.
Well, we're not here.
That's value, I think, has been increased a little. But, okay, so it would be December, that's fine. I told you I'd stop in and get a copy because the mail seems to be getting mixed up at my end. So I solved that problem when I go by, I'll just come after Thanksgiving. You should be able to bring it out some, right?
We sure
Okay,
could.
so that problem solved, so that isn't an issue. But, I hate to keep rambling on, and everybody wants to go home, but, I'm just saying that if I was to, get a little more detailed and challenging, because, all I'm saying is you're saying I'm being taxed 20, well, I'm being assessed 25% more, is that the proper way you want to hear it? For not living there?
You're being taxed seasonally, so there's a higher,
Why is that? Would you think it would be cheaper because I'm not using the facility?
well, there's a portion of that tax that goes to the state of Minnesota when it's seasonal.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
We can't change that statute. There's 60 different classes of property in Minnesota.
Okay.
And one of them is non-homesteaded land, which you are not living there.
Right,
So you got to pay that rate.
I gotta pay, so then you're saying there's
All
60 different laws.
it'd be assumed to be a record.
Statute, well,
Statute is a law, right? Or
Yeah.
rules considered
Yep.
law. I understand the law,
It is a law.
yep.
but yeah. Okay.
So we can't change that.
Can I just?
Yep.
Since it sounds like Paul may come in December, and we're gonna talk about the tax rate. So the tax classification rate for seasonal, like your cabin and homestead, is the same. So there's an extra state tax that applies to your seasonal property that does not apply to homestead.
Right.
And if you don't like that, and you come in December, we're gonna say that's the state who's taxing.
Okay, so then the fight will go to the tax court.
No, then you got to go talk to your state representative and state senator.
Well, but I already see a little bit of contradiction, so I would think a judge could maybe decide it depending on how I word it. All I'm saying is, because I don't let there, you charge me more and all. I'm trying to, well, but you're saying the state charges me more, or they have a separate law for that. All I'm saying is, well, geez, you think it'd be cheaper because I'm not up there using the roads and I got no kids in school. I won't be required to take in the hospital or call the police or the ambulance. I would personally think, because I'm using something less, it should cost me less, but they see it the other way.
But you're not paying on the schools,
Yeah, I know, and that's what you said, so.
right?
And You know, I'm just saying. You know,
I think we'll move on here. I think you're welcome to stay and talk afterwards, but we'll move on.
Can I ask one more question? And who would be responsible? She's coming up with square footage and all this. I mean, who is responsible? Maybe I have to go to the Finlands and town board, but, so like a bedroom in a basement has to have an egress window, otherwise it ain't legally a bedroom. And there's certain ceiling heights to tap it under a room. So who provides that? And you said earlier, the burden of proof is on me.
Right, but I thought you didn't have a basement under any of
I
it.
don't, I'm talking about my, living space, like the ceilings don't
Right. So Paul,
need a house code.
We would want to come out and take a look. And right now, Finlayson Township is in a little bit of a limbo state. Nancy Fisher has given up all of her local assessing. And so I'm not sure at this point who is going to be taking over for her, whether that's the county or if they're going to choose another local appraiser.
Okay,
I should be knowing that
well, it's
soon. And that's what we really need to do, like we talked about in April. We really need to have whoever's taking it over come out and take a look.
yeah,
I need a fresh set of eyes out there. And so
yeah,
what we can do is I can take your number down again, and once I know who's going to be doing it, I can give you a call.
yeah, that
Wanna
would
do it that way?
I could just get it in December. I can show up at the meeting.
Right, except,
That'll give them plenty of time to hire somebody or replace her or whatever.
well, we want to make sure though that they're able to get out to the property. I'm not sure what it looks like, you know, if we wait until December and we get a lot of snow, are we able to access it? Is it?
Yeah, I have an old beat up truck with my sister.
Okay, so is that what you want to do is wait until December? to
Well,
do that?
yeah, because next year, like I said, I'm at max for next year. This year was a little high, I'll swallow it, you know.
Okay,
Not here, why, or 10 or 20 bucks, but the one big increase kind of had me concerned. You know.
right.
So it goes down and then that's.
Okay, we're done. Okay.
I'll ask you about it then.
Okay, that I'll be there.
You'd be a stickler.
And we'll get it-
Shut the lights off when we leave, guys.
Yeah.
About-
All right, well, thanks for your.
Yeah.
I've been a new at it. Back to that legal description. This one. The only reason I ask is because I built a couple houses and there are certain requirements. So how they tax, you see, so I'm getting nitty gritty because it's gone up a little higher than I was hoping. And now I'm on a more limited income, is what I'm saying. So I don't want to turn it into a, you know,
We won't.
well, right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Okay, so
Thank you.
Is there any other ones?
no,
Nobody even called?
I do have some recommendations though.
The agenda, usually we would have the board discuss the appointment one, and make a motion of one next.
Yeah, that's a good point, Kelly.
I think he's good where he's at.
I think we'd leave it where it's at.
Yep.
No change.
You need to make a formal motion.
I'll make a motion that there's no change to.
I'll second it.
or
Any discussion?
Nope.
If not, I'll call the roll. Josh,
Aye.
Terry,
Aye.
Matt,
Aye.
and I say aye. Okay, county assessor recommendations.
I'm just pulling it up here. My computer's a little slow. You know what? We do need to print off the certification form for them to sign though. So how would I do that from here, Ryan?
We can print to the Uniflow and then we can grab it from one of the copiers up here.
Just like I would down in Pine City?
You got it.
Mr. Chair, before we leave, can you ask for another question?
Huh?
Before we adjourn, can you ask for another question while we have?
Yeah.
Okay,
Remind me.
I will.
Do you need that right now, Lori?
Yeah. Okay, so I just printed it to Uniflow.
Your badge.
Oh, you need mine?
I will go get it.
Okay. Okay, so I have Sean Durand, parcel 325061. That's Wilma Township. He had tabs for his travel trailer on his property and but they were inside the travel trailer and he couldn't access the property. And so he was able to get those to us. So at the Wilma board, they made a no change to have him get out there and get those tabs, which he did, and he provided them to me. And so I am recommending that we want to remove that personal property value from the property. So it would be going from 116,200 to 53,800. It was,
His trailer.
it was a brand new, very nice trailer.
Need a motion on that? Or do you want to do
I
them?
think we can do them all at once, can't we?
Yeah, we can. Yeah.
Okay. So the tabs were provided. Thank you. I'm gonna pass that around, sign it in the middle, Terry. The next one is parcel 33607800. The name is Michael Gagan. I'm not sure if I'm
How do you spell it?
Gagan.
Okay.
That's a Windermere one. And at the Windermere meeting, he showed up and wanted a property review by Jenny, one of our county appraisers. And so again, the board made a no change, and I'm going to add one more because he did have two parcels. The other one is 33614000. So those were his two lots up in Windermere. Jenny went out, they're seasonal lot. She went out and reviewed the first one. After her review, it had an old mobile home or a mobile home on the property. She brought the value of the mobile home down after she was able to physically inspect it, just slightly. I'm asking it to go from 25.5 to 24.2. Slight decrease there.
2,500.
Yep, 25,500 to 24,200. It's a $1,300 decrease. And on the second lot that she looked at, there was another mobile home on that property. And after her inspection and a couple of corrections, I'm asking that the value go from 47,400 to 46,600. That's an $800 decrease in value. So just slight decreases after she physically could get in and take a look and correct our records. The next one is parcel 2602750001. This is owned by Michael and Barbara Struss, Pine City Township. Again, they went to the meeting. They made a no change at that time. The property was physically inspected by the local appraiser. And it was adjusted, the quality and the interior were adjusted after the actual review. And they have it at from 139.9 to 105,600. That's a $34,300 decrease
Down to 10 what?
to 105.6. And that was after his actual review of the interior and the property. The next one is a Brian and Sandra Gilson, Gilson. Property 2501710002. Again, the property was physically inspected by the local appraiser. And the percentage, the home is actually 10% not finished after the local appraiser was able to get in and review the interior. So we are asking for a value of from 179.2 down to 171.1, which is an $8,100 decrease. And that is what I've got.
Is that one from Pine Town also?
Nope, that one's Partridge.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to reduce those values as recommended by the assessor.
Second.
Any discussion? I will call the roll. Terry,
Aye.
Matt,
Aye.
Steve, I, Josh,
Aye.
thank you. So,
So I was surprised, the market was so, I was
Crazy.
surprised that we only had the one gentleman.
It's kind of volatile. That's all I have some questions about.
Yeah, I think that people are finally realizing the market is very good.
here's what I think, Lori, is there's so many people that are refinancing. When the bank appraiser comes out and assesses their house for refinancing, that sucker's appraising out at $50,000 to $100,000 more than the county has it, so they keep their mouth shut.
Well, and that's what I try to explain to people. They have to remember that we don't set the market, we follow the market.
Right,
So
but
when we've got an increasing market, we are lower.
Yeah.
We are lower right now.
Yeah, so I just want to have a discussion on the same topic because Minneapolis blew up. You know, with the riots and all that.
Oh,
People are-
that way.
And that's to me just an anomaly. But look what it's doing to us. You know, as far as, and then it's not a big deal for us working people, but when you have people that are sitting in a place on a social security at $700 a month or whatever, they're gonna struggle.
Right,
And it's gonna hit them.
yes,
And this bubble is just, I don't think it's gonna maintain that.
it will not.
And it's done it so many times in the past where it's gone really high and
No, but it's
drops.
crazy.
And it is,
You can't even build right now because of
the cost is,
but people
inflation.
are very, I'd say more than concerned, almost scared. The smart people that have retired 10 years ago, let's say. And they had a good job. They made $50,000 or $60,000 a year when they worked. And so now their pension's about half of that. So now they're living on $25,000 a year from their pension, plus depending on what their social security is. Their value on their house has gone, they lived in a $150,000 house when they retired. Now it's a $300,000 house and they're scared about their future.
Right, but we have to remember that just because your value goes up, doesn't mean that your taxes are gonna go up.
But I tell people that I understand that, but I also know that it's a very rare day when my value has gone up and my taxes didn't follow the value.
Yeah, I think of the Ben Winchester thing all over again with people leaving. Who knows why they leave, but this can be one of the things where it's gonna create the housing market to go the other way too.
Like it did in 2008.
It makes just the excellent point. Whatever your value is, your value is. Whatever your taxes are, it's on us, you know, and the school and the city and all of that. But you can't get away from the fact, right, that it seems your value goes up, your taxes go up.
now this is where fair assessments are really, really important. Is
Yeah.
if everybody's being assessed the way for what they really truly have.
That's where I really get sideways with the people from the townships that insist on doing their own assessing, because we're not all playing by the same rules.
Well, I just found out that my new assessor is going to be coming from Chisago County. So I'm going to have somebody from, and it's John Keefe, you know, he's doing it and bringing his kids up to do it. But he does values in Chisago. I don't live in Chisago. I want somebody from Pine to do mine that deals with it all the time and understands it, you know, yeah.
I think
Terry, the
it's,
thing I don't understand is that what they're saying is they don't trust Pine County because now they're hiring
yeah,
a Chisago County assessor.
When I was a township supervisor, we had talked about this. They don't want to give control to Pine County. That's what it is. They're saying, you know, you want all of this control of stuff that we're in control of. And arguing and saying, no, we want it done right. You know, but that's where the questions come in, is they think that we're trying to take control of what they're doing.
yeah.
But
We heard that at a meeting.
if they were only valuing the property in their township, for their township taxes,
Mhm.
I could understand that.
Right, but it's for the,
They're valuing it for the county and for the school district. So they're screwing their neighbors in the next township is what they're doing.
I remember.
Hey,
when-
Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
So like with that situation, Terry, and Lori, maybe you can answer this, but when I was at a township meeting down here, I think the county is even the same price. It used to be a little bit higher, if I'm not mistaken, but do you know what they're charging? Because I think we're really close to the same price, if not the same price or cheaper. So
Actually,
it is.
Actually, Pine County is cheaper than if they hire if they hire that John.
Yeah, and I like John. I mean, I
I
do
don't
like John,
Any hard feelings for him. I
Right.
just think that they're not doing it to save money.
right.
They're doing it to rub our nose in it.
Well, they're doing it because they want the control. They're afraid to give up that control.
That's another thing, but I want to go back, to this land sale thing, because people they're buying it because they're desperate. They just want to get out of the city. A lot of people are buying up here. I want to get away from this ugly world that's happening in the cities. And it's not real values. They're bidding and buying.
Right.
So that's my point is it's just, they just don't care.
You know,
And it's driving the values because they don't care, and there's emotions in that purchase because they're that desperate. So that's somewhere that's going to catch up to us.
another scenario is I had the sweetest couple come in one day and they were talking about, they just bought a new house. They were going to go down and file for a homestead. I said, you guys bought a house? That's awesome. They said, with all of this unemployment that we've been getting, because they got all that extra money coming in. She said, we could afford the down payment. We can be homeowners now. So there was a lot of that coming in too, where all of a sudden people have all this extra money because they've got extra unemployment coming in.
I don't know what's going to happen, but
There's a lot of new construction going on too, which is really going to help.
Mind.
You know, with interest rates at 2%,
that's because they bought land up here and they're building.
right? But that's beneficial for us. We'll have to look at it that way. And just going back to, if people approach you, I always want to make sure that I let them know, if their taxes go up $100 and 12% or more, I believe, they can apply for a special property tax refund. And I don't think most people are aware of that. And it's stated on the back of your tax statement,
Is that if they're a certain age? Is
construction or anything.
that a certain age people or anybody?
Everybody.
I've not.
I know that.
That terminology.
I didn't know who got it.
No, it applies to anyone regardless of your income. But you have to meet those two.
That's just because it's a big jump in 1 year.
Right.
Yeah.
For no reason. So it doesn't hurt to take a look at that, if that would help them out. Typically, if people are going to see a big increase in their taxes, there's a reason for it. They had an agricultural homestead and they lost it because they weren't farming and it went to residential. Their new construction, like Mr. Orsello, was, you know, there's always typically a reason.
So is there any way to run a formula that says if and I know we have a lot of senior citizens, the day you turn 65 is what your value is going to remain until you pass away?
If their income threshold or something.
Is there a way you could run?
Class number 62.
Yes, 62 and 63. But how much would that cost the county?
It wouldn't cost the county anything. You're just shifting that tax burden.
Right, but it would cost the rest of the taxpayers. That's what I'm saying. How much money would we lose? Are there 34.
Could change every year.
Owners, are they over 65?
I have no idea.
Probably.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
you're not gonna get that past me, sorry to say, but,
Hey, you'll get there.
I'm almost there. Yeah,
But
that's
hey,
just
I just
unfair
wanna say-
taxation.
you remember that Ben Winchester presentation when he said it is not bad for people to shift out of their homes. There's a point where, like you said, if your valuation, I was talking to somebody the other day, just today, he said built his house for 35,000. That was with paying $5,000 for the lot. And it's valued at 250 or 350 or something right now. Well, that's a pretty good profit. And I'm in the game of business where you won't make a profit. If it gets to where you can't afford it, maybe it's time to just move on to something else, you know? And right now it is hard for doing that, but because everything's expensive. But you know, if you downsized a little bit and sold your $400,000 house and bought a $200,000 house, that pays a lot of taxes for a long time and you live pretty comfortably.
You know, Josh, we just had that conversation at coffee this morning about, you know, at what time your house for 400,000 and somebody says, yeah, but it costs you 200 to build a little house. Well, if that's all you need, there's a ton of people that work their entire working life and never put $250,000 in the bank to live on.
Mhm.
And so there you go. You're absolutely right, Josh.
And I want to argue, I got 4 kids and I am building a house, so you guys can feel bad for me all you want, but it sucks. I'll say that all
I
day
did.
long.
I was gonna build a house, Josh, but I bought the one across the street instead because I couldn't afford to build one.
And if some of retiree or 65 plus people start leaving their nice houses, you know, then that frees up some stock for people like me. But I already have 2 jobs, and I don't know if I can. I struggle with the limited funding. You know how you say people on a fixed income, because I don't know how to get more income. I don't have enough hours in the day myself. So, you know, people our age, in the 40s with kids that are going to school, it's a struggle for us too. And I ain't gonna lie.
Yep,
Granted,
it
I'm
is.
not relying on the federal or, you know, Social Security or my retirement yet, but for me to go find another $1,000 a month income is not easy, you know? So I don't know. That's where I do struggle with that a little bit. And I do feel for anybody that is retired, but at sometimes I don't know. Just talking out loud, sorry.
But you're right, it's a struggle for all ages.
Yeah. Well, when you first start, no, your kids
It's horrible.
check the check, man.
Yep, yep.
You know, probably old enough to remember the 70s and the inflation that occurred.
Mhm.
A lot of people, maybe Josh, don't, right? So there's a lot of people who 3% inflation a year is a lot. So that's, I mean, I don't know what the future holds, but that might be an interesting look back in 5 or 6 years to see what happens to inflation.
Yes.
In,
The 80s were
I tell our kids, David, all the time,
adjustable mortgages.
in 1984, we needed to buy a car. We ended up buying the cheapest new car we could because Chevy had financing for 18% if you bought a new car. If you bought a used car, you paid 22 to 24%.
Interest was horrible then.
People paid 12, 14% for a house.
We did. First mortgage,
Yeah.
12%.
Yeah.
And see, I think that's a lot the game we're playing is, okay, so interest isn't high, but the prices are high. So in the end of the day, it's the same thing. You know? So,
Right.
because back then you could buy a new house
We
for
can't fix that.
$30,000.
So was it in the 90s that we had it where the valuations were really low and then all of a sudden they took a really huge leap? Does that sound, because we had bought a 40 acre.
That sounds like
Really low.
2017 to me.
And within 2 years, we sold, we we sold it all off and we had made a really nice profit on it. And then all of a sudden the market just crashed again.
All crashed, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, anything else, Lori? Thank you.
I have no.
Kelly,
Kelly wants to.
Matt, Terry, Josh,
Should I make a motion to
Oh,
adjourn?
thanks.
I'll just adjourn the meeting, then we
Okay.
have to do a roll call.
But you're getting really good at it, Steve.
And did you guys,
So declare the meeting adjourned.
We gotta sign one more thing. Did we sign that one?
I think you signed them both.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Do you guys need me to sign something tomorrow or?
Tomorrow.
no, I don't, Josh. You don't.
Okay. All right.
Thanks,
guys.
Kelly.
Good night.
You guys in the.
Thanks,
Terry, remember when,
Thanks, Lori.
remember when the farm market
You.